Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where I talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
I knew you were going to say that. Hi, Jack.
Oh, the puns are starting already.
That works.
Indeed.
Today we are discussing the 21st episode of Season 6, Prophecy, or Prophesy, depending on whichever you want to say.
Yeah.
Jonas starts to have visions of the future, which come true with alarming accuracy. He and the team investigate a planet where the inhabitants are oppressed by the ghoul, the Lord Baal. Jonas discovers that his visions are being caused by a tumor in his brain, but before it can be removed, he has a vision of SG-1 being ambushed by the Jaffa at the Stargate. He warns General Hammond, who is able to prevent the attack. Jonas has the tumor removed and he recovers. The team is grateful to Jonas for saving their lives, and Jack seems to finally be recognizing his value to the team. Right in time for him to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this episode, Father?
Well, this one wasn't too bad. I kind of like the idea that he could have these prophecies. And of course, you have Sam. Well, scientifically, by Newtonian physics, I don't think Newtonian physics cares about whether you can tell the future or not. But anyways,
Yeah.
no, this isn't a bad one. Of course, this very much a Jonas centric one. Focusing more on him and trying to figure out his place in the team. Like you said, right before he leaves the team. But anyways,
Yeah. Thought that was... I mean, it's good we're getting a Jonas episode before the end, but at this point... What about you, Lisa?
Yeah, I guess it's bittersweet because we know Jonas is about to leave, and I really like him, and I've liked him all season. And I really enjoyed the whole, can you tell the future? Is it determined, or does it change if you he warns them? So is that what's supposed to happen, or did it happen? Because I really liked that argument and kind of mentally thinking about it, and it just made it. Where Carter still gets injured. It's like, well, was that going to happen, or did that happen because I told you?
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that mental conundrum, got me thinking. So, and I don't know if you can tell the future or not. So
I guess it depends on what you're telling the future about.
True.
I can predict that I'm about to ask Victor what he thought of the episode. So there we go.
I knew you were going to say that. No, they were definitely keeping their powder dry for next episode here. They were not going to pull out any of the stops on this one. I mean, I like that it's a Jonas episode, but it just didn't click for me. And for a number of reasons. It's like a balloon that deflates itself. Sam says, well, we don't know if we can change the future, which you've done already in 2 episodes with time traveling episodes. And then the whole main kind of twist of this episode is Jonas sees a horrific, vision of the future, and it's up to, Jack and the other SG leaders to somehow prevent it. And we don't really get a sense that anything that Jonas did or foresaw changed anything until right at the very end. So it's kind of, there's a disconnect between what his visions are seeing and his actual ability to influence, outcomes and stuff. So I don't know. It didn't click for me. It kind of plodded along. Even scenes such as the surgery scene with Jonas, weren't dramatic or tension filled. It just seemed like it was taking up time until we get to the next episode.
mm-hmm.
He did a lot of sweating though.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yep.
And Jack seemed especially flippant this episode.
Yes, he did.
That comes and goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it is how much Richard Dean Anderson was invested in the episode is where you get that level.
Could be.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, and I kind of agree with you, Victor, towards the end when he tells General Hammond about not opening the iris because a bomb's going to come through. And then it kind of gets very muddled and lost. And then he does open the iris and everything ends up being okay. So I don't know if the point was Well, I guess it was Jonas changed the future by telling them that the Gould were going to get the.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it was
radio.
was Jonas. Yeah, it was by Jonas convincing General Hammond to call on the radio, got the traitor to sound the alarm, even though he wasn't supposed to. And if he hadn't sounded the alarm, SG-1 would have been ready, or wouldn't have been ready for the Jaffa coming after them. But because they sounded the alarm, SG-1 was alerted just barely in time.
And it allowed the true hero of this episode, Ilori's daughter, Natanya, to shoot Mott, the main bad guy, and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I like that part.
Yeah. So it's like SG-1 didn't really do anything. It was more, but the villagers did. And so that was good.
They empowered them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, just kind of, because they didn't foresee that calling was going to alert the Jaffa and have them turn on the alarm and all that. So it was kind of like happy accidents that ended up working out.
Yeah.
So I guess that works, but it is interesting that we see in this episode there are villagers who are still working with the Gould who have enslaved them. Like we have, I feel like pretty much every other time we've been to a planet, it's been pretty universal. We should fight back against our oppressors, but it's nice to see some variety in that where that's fairly realistic to how things go. You're going to have some people who don't want to change the status quo. So,
yeah. Well, you had the one guy that actually had the little communications ball that he was able to get a hold of the Gould and get him there earlier than they expected.
And it doesn't seem like the Gould really, for being so backstabbing and conniving, they don't really do a good job of keeping tabs on each other. We see that both in this episode and then in the next episode. There's a lot of, they don't really know what's going on, even though I feel like with all their intrigue, that would be one of the main things they'd want to do.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. We do see Gould spies, right? So we know that that's a thing.
Yeah, but Baal is just kind of forgotten about this planet, and Mott's still scraping some off the top. And
well, I guess you think about it, he's got so much.
That's
true. He's hired his, management, and you're gonna. They're Gould, so maybe there's an understanding that some of them are going to not be so trustworthy.
That's true. That's what you get for having middle management Gould.
That's right.
I guess this is kind of like the Office Space then of Stargate. You got him scraping a percentage off the top, not telling the bosses.
Yeah,
it doesn't work out for him either.
No, it doesn't. I do like what we get to see of Mott. He was a pretty good Gould while he lasted.
For all 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Jack says, like, this is where you tell me about all of the bad things you're, and he's like, yeah, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Although I do kind of feel like Jack's hanging a lantern on how evilly evil and overtop the Gould are has kind of run its course, because he does it every time we see a Gould.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we get it. We know the Gould are goofy, and we're okay with that. You don't have to point it out.
Well, and this Lisa Gould had a plan, okay, I will torture the code out of you. I will send a bomb into SGC. I will rid us of these meddling humans. All the other ones are like, we're going to go and fly over to Earth and menace for a while and then get blown up. He's like, no, I'm just going to throw a bomb through and then deal with it.
And then we're going to invert gravity and drop drops of acid on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
I suppose you expect me to die?
Yep.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah.
Wait, I think just said that. Yeah, exactly. No.
Do you expect me to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wish we'd gotten more Jonas-centric episodes throughout the season, because I feel like for a good 50%, he's almost just a background character. And then every so often he pops up and is the primary focus. But it seems like pretty much every time he is, they have to talk about, it's probably not the Quadria that is causing whatever's going on with him. And I feel like at this point, you might want to do some more long-term tests. He's having all these weird physiological things going on. It's like, We didn't think asbestos was bad for us, or like radium, and we see how that's happened. So you can't really rule out that Nequadria is not a problem.
Yeah, well, and of course, in this case, he basically has the same. Hey, I was in that machine for an hour. That may have had something to do with it.
Yeah,
she was literally ripping apart my DNA. That may have something to do with it.
And they did not. So they reversed whatever she did to Carter, but they didn't stick Jonas back in there and reverse.
No.
His. Okay, that makes total sense.
I think it's because he didn't have any effects, at least any visible effects, which that's just poor medicine right there. But
yeah. It's like if you're not turning into water, you're probably okay.
Well, I mean, it was clear in that episode that because his species had left Earth, his race had left Earth, 3,000 years ago and lived on this other planet, that the evolution had affected him enough where he could be stable with these DNA transitions.
And he was on a planet that was rich with Nequadria, which I think probably influenced, their physiology somehow. But we never really get like a good explanation for what Jonas's, for lack of a better words, like abilities or superpowers are. We know he has like a photographic memory. He can learn things really quick, but it's never really explicit, like, what else he can do. And then in this episode, you can see the future for a few minutes.
But it's only like short term, right in the next part. He can't see like really far what's going to happen. Right. It's always like what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah. And at first it's like it's only things that he will experience in the future. So he can see what he's experiencing in the future. But then when he's in surgery, he can see across the universe or across the galaxy to the other planet and see what's happening there.
Which is more helpful.
Yeah. It's more helpful, but it's not really more plausible if the rules you've established are like, I can see what I'm going to know in the future or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess you can hand wave that away by saying as the tumor grows, his abilities get more powerful and it still doesn't answer why he would see exactly what he needs to see to
not just like he said he was concentrating, remember?
He was
concentrating.
Okay.
Yeah, because he gets to the point where he's actually focusing on, what is going to happen to SG-1 at this point?
That's true.
So that makes some sense. And in some of it, of course, at first it was seeing things through his view. And they actually did a good job with the camera on this, where either they filmed the same scene from two different angles or they refilmed the scene twice.
Yeah.
But the first couple of times we see it through his eyes. So it's from the person that's speaking or that's acting from his eyes. But then when it's SG-1 being gunned down, you see it exactly filmed as we see it on the series or on the
that's
later on.
Budget constraints.
Yeah. We don't really know how sudden onset Hawktar works. So
yeah.
As an aside, that does make me think of just talking about the way this future seeing tumor would work. One of the only things I liked about Man of Steel is that scene where he's a kid and he's like, his abilities are starting to work and he like cannot filter out all the noise and all the light and everything. Like I always like that about that because that kind of helps explain or give you a good idea of like how horrible being able to hear and see everything miles away would actually be.
Yeah.
So it would have been cool if there had been some point where he was just like seeing tons of random things.
Just flipping through from different people, like within SG-1 or something like that.
Like that could have been a precursor to him having to concentrate, but I guess we don't really have enough time in this episode to flesh that out more.
Yeah. I mean, this was kind of the Spock's brain of Stargate SG-1 season 6.
Ooh, that's
that's just the surgery. Insult.
Well, I mean, Spock's brain isn't a terrible episode, but it is like the surgery at the end. That just the scene just goes on way too long. It's just Dr. Fraser and the surgeon like looking at each other and looking concerned and looking back, and like they didn't even get out like the skull saw that you always see whenever they have to do brain surgery and stuff. And they're like, well, we have to. You're just like, oh, what'd they do? Like just drill in or something. But
they had a bleeder though. They had to take care of the bleeder.
They had the bleeder. Yeah,
for sure they're gonna pull out like they like plop it on a tray or something. There it is. Because they're like, oh, I see it. And I'm like, are you gonna show us or?
Well, no? It shows how well equipped Stargate Command is. They actually have a a room that in the sick bay they could use for surgery. Now, mind you, it's not actual surgical suite. It's just a room that they turned into a surgical suite.
Yeah.
And brain surgery, no less.
Yeah.
And did he? I don't think he had a bandage on his head at the end of the episode.
He did.
He did.
He had one just around where the scar would have
Well,
been.
you could see a little bit of
Yeah.
a bandage, and then
Yeah.
he had like a skull cap on.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember he had had a hat on, but
You could
It
see a
didn't look
little bit
like-
of a bandage peeking out.
didn't look like he'd just gone through major brain surgery.
Well, and how long had it been? Because you notice Carter's arm wasn't in the sling anymore either.
Oh, okay.
True,
No,
So I was
could have been
like,
like a week later.
did
Yeah.
y'all not see him for a while? Like, go on
They forgot about him.
vacation?
Yeah.
SG-1 was too busy cleaning up after the gold. I don't know.
They went fishing at Jack's cabin.
Yeah. Carter was working on her Volvo or something.
Right.
I do like how he specifically calls out the fact, because when he first tells them, they don't really believe him again. And he calls out the fact they didn't believe him when he saw the bug aliens in that
Yeah.
episode where nothing mattered.
Yeah.
So I like that they actually pointed that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, they were like begrudgingly like, yes, that's true. Gore one for Jonas.
Yep.
And so another thing that's vague about Jonas and his background from his planet, does everyone on the planet have his photographic memory and his like high aptitude for learning things quickly, or is it just him? Because I don't think we really get that talked
He-
about either.
I don't know if they really mention it. It doesn't seem like it, though.
He said in a previous episode that he was considered to be a prodigy even among his own
Mhm.
people. So
He could have been
maybe
talking himself up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm special.
I'm big on my world's version of Japan. Yeah.
Yeah, and
because
it's
didn't they say he had advanced for being so young? He was
Yeah.
in a high position and he was really doing well. So I always got the impression that that was not normal for them.
yeah, that's what it seems like. 'Cause he's probably only in his mid-20s at this point, mid-late 20s.
Probably.
So,
He's
I
got
do
that
not
baby
know.
face.
Yeah.
Needs to grow a beard.
Yeah.
And they also talk about back with Carter and Jonas and their discussion about quantum mechanics versus Einsteinian physics or Newtonian physics, and they talk about like when you observe like observing particles, you cannot observe where they're going to be and all that. And then they kind of tie that into the prophecy on the planet, which is a very vague prophecy. It's like
Mhm.
in the future, someone will come and save us. And it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
basically any culture is going to have a prophecy like that. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
universal. So
especially one that's enslaved at the
Yeah.
moment, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like you got to give people hope somehow. And then, yeah, I this would have worked better without the prophecy on the planet because it's just kind of like, bookending it. They mention it at the beginning and then they forget about it until the very end. And he's like, and it doesn't really have any bearing on the plot. So
I feel like they had too many different things they wanted to do in this episode, and they didn't really fully explore any of them.
Mhm.
Like if they wanted to lean into the whole prophecy thing and kind of juxtapose that against Jonas being able to see the future and kind of dealing with determinism and all that, then they should have had the people on the planet like treat SG-1 like they were a messiah or something, and you could like tie those two things together. But they don't really do that, and we only see a few of the villagers, and there's like a couple bad ones, and then there's the main guy who's good and his daughter, but we don't really see a lot of the people anyways.
Natanya, who's like super, like not only does she like shoot and kill Mott, but she also breaks them out of prison with that
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
sleepy wine or something. And I like that look where like
Yeah.
Jack is like, hey, pass some of that our way. And she's like, no, you
She
don't
just
want
kind of shakes
this.
her head.
Yeah. This isn't for you. And then they like drink it and go sleepy time. And yeah, I like, she's awesome in this episode.
Mhm.
She's the best character in this episode.
Yeah.
She actually does more than anyone else.
Yeah.
I also want to know what kind of diminishing returns Mott was getting from this
Exactly.
nearly drained Naquita mine. Like, at what point is this not worth it anymore?
I don't know. You get like 5 or 6 nearly depleted mines, right? And
Yeah, he just keeps building up the cast off. Next thing you know, he's got some power.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just want to know how much fuel he has to expend to get to these
That's
planets.
true.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, and how often does he have to go? I don't know.
But
They
the
weren't
ball
really in
seems-
threat of rebelling, right?
Yeah.
On their own.
he's like, buy this mothership to get to work, go to work
Yeah.
to pay for the mothership. Never ends.
pretty
Of course,
much.
Ball seems
Yeah.
arrogant enough that's like, well, they're only producing half of the capability that they are supposed to. Well, they're forget them. We're done with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that there could still be plenty of life left in that mine. Plenty of life left in those slaves. So, we'll take it,
Yeah, I wonder what almost depleted means. Like, is it like you're getting grams of the stuff, or it's just not like falling off the walls?
They
anymore?
only filled one 2-person carried box full of Nakoda. That's not
Exactly.
enough.
Well, they do mention that they were sick and they couldn't get as much as like they could, and Mott executed a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I assume it has to be something substantial, right? Because if it was just a little bit, like, and they don't have a refinery or something there, I don't know. Maybe it's something like where they just have to mine like tons of rock, and then Mott takes it to a refinery, on Terok Nor or something, and
Yeah.
turns it into whatever.
I would also question the efficacy of just using like hand tools to be mining this material when you could give them more advanced tools, but I don't think the Goa'uld think too far ahead with that kind of thing.
No.
Maybe it's not about as much material as they can get as it is how many planets they have still enslaved that they could count as theirs. So if you mine it too quickly, then you're not going to have, if it's already depleted, you're not going to have as much left. So maybe it's more about we don't really need that Nakoda, but we're just going to.
You got to pay it out slowly.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like they got a, what do you call it? Like it's a chart. Like how many planets do you have? Well, I have this many
Yeah.
that are still working for me, and you have that many.
I have this many slaves. I have this many Jaffa. That makes me more powerful than you. Type.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's a big part of it actually for the Goa'uld, for the System Lords, is who's most powerful. They're the ones with the most territory, with the most people under their thumb, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So they care about how many people they have following them and microtransactions. So the Goa'uld are basically just Instagram influencers.
They're
Pretty
EA.
much. Yeah.
They're EA, Electronic Arts, in the future.
Hey, don't insult the Goa'uld like that.
I don't know. They're about as arrogant as EA, so I mean, it works.
Fair enough.
I did have to laugh when every time I hear Mott, all I could think of was the British rock band Mott the Hoople. All the Young Dudes was their big hit in the U.S. That's all I could think of every time I heard that. I heard his name. It's like, wait, what?
I thought they were saying Ma'at at first, which is like the Egyptian term for like the balance of the universe.
No.
When I was reading through, because Jack doesn't say Baal correctly, he calls him Baal, so I assumed he was just
Baal,
saying
yep.
Mott. But it's M-O-T.
Yep. And it was supposedly what the Babylonian god before Baal.
Yeah. It just makes me think of the applesauce brand, Mott's. So maybe he has a side hustle in applesauce.
There you go.
Like, you got the Motts. That's an old
Nakoda
commercial.
flavored
Yeah.
applesauce.
No sugar added.
Here we go.
And the Ilori, the chief of the village, played by Thomas Capacci, who has been in just about everything. He's known for being in the 4 Star Trek, Next Generation era spinoffs: Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager,
Really?
and Enterprise. Yeah, he had a guest role in each of those series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So he gets around, still alive, still with us, fortunately.
Yeah, I feel like every time I click on a link for the guest stars on this show, it's always like Star Trek, Stargate, like all these same kind of sci-fi shows. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I recognize pretty much everybody.
Nightman, Sliders. Yeah.
Well, of course, we mentioned before that There are a lot of actors. They just did the Vancouver circuit back when all these sci-fi shows were being filmed in Vancouver in that area.
Back when TV shows and movies were being made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you could actually make a living just doing guest, shots on these shows if you did enough of them.
Well, I say there's two in this episode that are both been on When Calls the Heart, which is a Hallmark show that's in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I noticed that too. And Taylor Rothery is still on it's Netflix, but it's a Vancouver show currently. So It is funny how many shows are still going on up there and the same people. I mean, It's been 20 years and they're all working and they're all working in the same place. And it's great. I mean, I just think that's fabulous.
Vancouver's a nice place. So
it is.
I wouldn't be jealous to live there.
Yeah.
For the weather, at least.
Yeah.
It just rains 6 months out of the year, solid, just like Seattle.
That's my kind of weather, cold and rainy.
Plus, there's like some really great scenery up in British Columbia there.
Yeah.
All the planets sure look like it. So
yeah, exactly. That has to be pretty nice.
In space, everything is the Pacific Northwest.
It's what I've learned watching Stargate over the years.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That or sand. It's like
sand dunes.
Well, that's that's what the ancients liked. They like that type of planet. So they terraformed all their planets to look like it.
You get a little bit of sun, you get your vitamin D, then you can go back and be broody in the rainy forests. It's a balance.
You got your sand, you got your sand dunes.
I'm just surprised we haven't run into a planet where everyone wears like the wool hats and like flannel, and we never had that,
In
right?
other words, Canada.
Yeah,
Planet of Canada.
that never happened.
I seem to remember there being like a lot of like on Andromeda when they'd go to like an outpost or something, like a space outpost, there'd be a lot of people just dressed like Canadians.
I mean, that's Firefly.
Yeah, that's true. That too. Yeah. Jane's hat and stuff. Yeah. But another trope in this is you get to see like all the main characters get shot and killed in it. It's like, oh no, there goes Teal'c. Oh no, Walter just got shot. Oh no, General Hammond got. But there's absolutely no consequence to it or anything. So you're just like, okay, they're just filling time and now they have something to put in the commercial.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do have to say when Teal'c got shot, he's down and then he's like, I'm just going to stand. I mean, and Jack's just watching. He's not help. I mean, it was just so like dramatic. I'm going to stand up and let them shoot me in the back. And I'm like,
yeah. Well, and not even that. The one, the major from SG-15 looks at Jack as he gets blasted, like, help me. And then Teal'c gets blasted and he looks at Jack and he gets mad and stands up again. It's like,
Jack's like,
whoops.
Yeah.
Like, this didn't work.
Huh.
Was I supposed to do something?
He was thinking about fishing.
Yeah.
Either that or he was trying to come up with a snarky comment.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like,
how can I turn this into a joke?
Don't give up your day job, Teal'c. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we have any alternate language titles
yeah, we
for this
do.
episode?
Yeah, most of them were prophecy in one or another languages here. So that wasn't super duper exciting. But in German, our joke is always that they're very literal and stuff. And this one is Jonas Visionen, or Jonas's visions. So
that's not bad.
The only thing can be more literal is Jonas has visions of telling SG-1 dying.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that does basically cover it.
Yeah, but in every other language, it was like the prophecy or prophecy. So
nice. Awesome. Did y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
One thing I got a kick out of is, when Sam was electrocuted and she's on the gurney heading at the elevator and can't feel her pulse, Fraser does the thump, not CPR, Literally, just take your fist and pound her in the chest. It didn't work. Use your device to shock her back instead of thumping her in the chest. That does no good.
Yeah.
Maybe Terrell Rothery just had something against Amanda Tapping, and
she was upset with Amanda Tapping that day.
Yeah.
Little girl fight.
It was good to see Siler again, partially electrocuted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hands all scarred,
Yeah. Compassionate blow.
I hope he's going to get some good retirement benefits after all the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
He'll get 100% disability from the VA, and he'll be taken care of. He'll be fine.
His wall is just all Purple Heart, like awards.
Yeah.
Medals. Yeah.
But they'll all be. I feel like there was a movie where someone won this big award, but it was classified or a classified thing, so they gave it to him, and then they just take it back. Or I think that's something that might happen in real life.
That's something that happened in Stargate, where, like they talk about with Sam. They talk about with
Oh,
Sam.
yeah, that's right.
She
Yeah,
got
that's
her
what I'm
award.
thinking
Like
of.
they show her getting her award, and then they had to take it back right away because she couldn't actually put it on her uniform.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been so long, I'm forgetting episodes and
Exactly.
referencing them now.
Yeah, that was like season 2. That's when we met Jacob.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
yeah, that's right.
There are people who believe that Stargate is the documentary, so maybe
There you
maybe
go.
that's kind of what's
It's
happening.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't. I just said there are people who believe it is.
But of course, we wouldn't
Yeah.
vow or that it is or isn't because we don't have any classified information. Please don't come shoot us.
We know nothing.
Yeah.
See, that's why they made the Wormhole Extreme episode there.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
little
There's
tip off.
plausible, deniability.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Plausible deniability for the show.
Just
That's
nice.
plausible deniability for the real thing, right?
Although
There we go.
I have to say, after watching Sequest now, I have a newfound appreciation for Michael DeLuise, who played the Colonel in Wormhole Extreme, like the
nice.
fake Colonel. He's in 2 seasons of it, and he's an amazing comic actor and
Good.
stuff, and has some good dramatic things there too. I wish we could have seen more from him.
Nice. Awesome. Any other thoughts?
Nope, not here.
Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Sean K., Mark B., Noreen G., John A., and Michael C. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can find the video versions at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. And to find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send us feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate, and you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com, and follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the season finale of Season 6, Full Circle. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack, and you go, you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That touched me. And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?